Welcome to the Sportswoman Show. I'm your host, Gabby Hoffman. From gator hunting in the swamps of Florida to fly fishing in the cold water streams of the Mountain West, join us as we explore real human stories of women, from influencers to scientists to policymakers who are spending their lives in the outdoors. Let's begin. Angelica, welcome to the Sportswoman Show. I'm so thrilled to have you on. You have no idea how excited I am to talk to you about your life story and your fishing journey.
Likewise, thank you so much for having me on.
For those who are not in the DC metro area, Angelica, could you tell people who you are and how you got started on your fishing journey? I think it's such a compelling story. And in the years I've gotten to know you, you've shared little bits and pieces with me, but I think people will love your story. It's so fascinating.
Well, thank you so much. That means a lot to me coming from you that you think that people want to hear my story, and I'm so excited to share it. My name is Angelica Talan, and I am a digital content creator in the DC space. And in the last 5 years, I started fly fishing as a way to bond with my daughter. And it's kind of changed my life in ways that I never would have imagined. And more importantly, it's kind of taught me to slow down, and it's given me a little bit more of a home work life balance that I never dreamed of ever having in my life. And I'm so happy to be able to connect fishing with everything that I do in my personal life and my professional world.
And what were you doing before being a creator here in the Washington, D.C. area? You did a little bit of Hollywood work, right? Am I understanding that correctly?
Oh, oh yes, you've done your homework. I have a I have appeared in a few major motion films, most notably a movie called Step Up with Channing Tatum. I had a few lines in the beginning of the movie, so if you want to check it out, it's available right now on streaming services. And I was in a movie called The Replacements with Keanu Reeves, and I've done several reality television shows. Date Plate is one of them that used to be on the Food Network. And let's see. So I was an actor for a little while, and that kind of helped launch me into the social media realm.
There is kind of a natural transition from my understanding from filming to social media because you could act or you could be authentic. I think actually social media content allows you to be more authentic, even though there's so many filters and sometimes blinders. But unlike a lot of Hollywood productions, you can be yourself and authentic and control kind of the type of content you put out there. And so what have you thought has been more difficult, working in Hollywood or breaking out into the fly fishing industry? What has been more challenging or more interesting?
Oh, that's such a great question. I I think breaking out in Hollywood was a lot scarier for me. It was a higher rate of competition in that realm, and I was so much younger, so I was inexperienced and kind of insecure in that way. Whereas breaking into the fly fishing industry, I felt way more supported. I felt like people were a little bit older, so they could actually want to, have the desire to mentor, and there wasn't as much competition because the community was there for me as a woman wanting to learn, and people seem to be very accepting and enthusiastic in the fishing industry.
Was there a particular person who was the catalyst behind your interest or taking an interest in fly fishing and also roping in your daughter and also your son too? I think you've taken him fly fishing as well. But was there a particular person? How did you stumble upon fly fishing? Because I think all of us have unique ways of stumbling in it. For me, I started bait and spin casting when I was young. And then until my like mid to early, I would say mid 20s, I started to pick up fly fishing because of insistence of friends who I met through the fishing industry, and I adopted it into my repertoire too. But was there a particular person, event that kind of spurred your interest into fly fishing that you can
Oh
recall?
yeah, yes. I mean both. So I took my daughter Ella traditional gear fishing, and she slayed, and we got a lot of fish. And I forgot the live bait, and I also brought some fish back home and left it in my car for a few days in over 100-degree heat here in DC. And
Oof.
Ah, got to my car and realized, hey, this isn't probably the type of fishing I want to do if I'm going to forget bait and also feel like I need to bring the fish home. I went to YouTube and went down the rabbit hole and discovered that fly fishing, you don't use live bait, and there's a sustainable way that you just catch and release. And I remember I have a friend from college. His name is Steve, and he was an avid fly fisherman. And I remember seeing photos of him online, and I thought, oh my goodness, I can fly fish. Steve fly fishes, and he was one of the first mentors for me, who really encouraged me, kind of told me what to purchase and who to follow online, and he really has been instrumental, and it's one of the first times I'm able to actually give him a shout out. So thank you for asking that question because a lot of people don't ask if there was a specific person who helped me kind of give me the confidence that maybe I can do this, and he was the first person.
That's amazing. I have my friend Debbie Hansen, who's an excellent fly fishing guide out of Southwest Florida. She was the impetus behind me. She was kind of planting the seeds when we were doing some peacock bass fishing and largemouth bass fishing years ago. And I would go with her to ICAST in my early industry media days. And she was like, you should try fly fishing. You'll love it. So there's always a person behind it. And it's so cool that you had your friend. And I've had my friend. And I know a lot of women listening and even men listening probably to the program will say that there was someone behind kind of your impetus to start fly fishing. And no, I totally get it because I've increasingly grown resistant to using live bait. And I do like to take fish home sometimes, even if it's trout too. You know, if I go fly fishing into the mountains here in Virginia, there's a great place if you want to fish for trout for a lot cheaper of a price. If you like eating trout, I don't know if you're a trout eater. There's a great private farm on the West Virginia border that has a reasonably good deal per pound for trout. And I go there and I practice and I take home the trout. But I do practice catch and release more too whenever I fly fish because I know that a lot of the times the fish are undersized. But if you're just going for a quick trip just to release and blow off some steam, fly fishing is amazing. And that's why I've told a lot of my skeptical friends, you should try it because if you just need something quickly to do and you don't want to get your hands messy, it's so great. It does come with a higher cost. You know, it's a little more expensive than bait and spin cast fishing, but
Yes.
it is a lot more worth it. Like when you have all your, lures and your flies and your tippet and your line, and it really is easy to assemble it. And I think it makes you more accountable actually for managing what you can control, knowing that you can assemble your rod and your tippet and tying your flies. I think it gives you more confidence. I don't know if you feel the same way, Angelica,
I
but for me, it
totally
does.
agree, and I love how you articulated that because that's something that makes it a little bit more joyful to me over the traditional spin. But I do both. I still do the traditional spin. A lot of people do ask me, like, do you not fish the way that you learned when you were a child? But I'll often go back to that. And thank you for that tip on fishing that way because I haven't yet discovered that area and I'm still learning the areas here in Northern Virginia. So thank you for that.
Yeah, they've been around for a long time and it's a super low pressure environment. Like you see people with a fly fishing rod, you see people with regular spin and bait cast. And it is a little journey, but you're saving so much on trout
Oh,
per
yeah.
poundage. Like instead of paying $15 at the supermarket, you're getting it for like $5, give or
Oh,
take.
yeah. And
And it's freshly caught.
that also gives you the confidence when you feel like you can catch something that you can cook yourself. It's a whole other level of joy that I've yet to
Amen.
experience.
No, I know some of our fellow fly anglers balk at the notion of like eating fish. How dare you? It's sacrilegious. I'm like, if I'm doing it ethically, it's the right environment and it's not, illegal to take something, I'm gonna, especially if I go out of my way to go somewhere, I need to take some fish home because I don't want to come empty handed. But for like a quick day jaunt, fly fishing, and it's specifically catch and release. I've gone to some places. One place to Angelica to add to your place of visiting in the future, you should go to Smoke Hole Outfitters. They're amazing. I know the husband and wife who run it, and they're a younger couple. They've been around for a long time. It's like a fish hatchery plus like a gemstone mining operation. They do tours of different natural landscapes and features out there. It's a one-stop shop, and it's beautiful, beautiful cabins, and it's within about 3 hours. And they have a fly fishing stream that is specifically catch and release. Then they have a pond where you can put intake. And so lots of places accommodate both desires, but I don't think you have to limit yourself to one. I know some fly anglers are like, no, it's just only catch and release. I'm like, no, just let people go with the flow and do what they want to do, but as long as they're aware of the regulations and the environment and the time of year, that's what you only have to figure into, I think.
Yes, I agree. I love it, and I'm going to try it this year.
With fishing so far and taking your kids with you, has there been a memorable trip that really just sticks with you and you love retelling the story and the memory as a result? Because I think what people listening to the show, especially women, may want to know is that there was probably some moment that said to you, or some moment you had where you realized, I don't want to quit this activity. I want to double down on it. I want to do it and I want to bring more people into the fold. So has there been a fishing trip you've taken, could be as recent as a year ago or within your fly fishing journey, or even when you started doing spin and bait cast fishing? Has there something that has left an indelible mark in you that has led you to be this champion of women in fly fishing?
Well, there's several. With my family, we go to Waynesboro, Virginia, at least once a year. And a couple of years ago, as an influencer in my work, I was invited to cover the Waynesboro, Virginia region just as a travel writer. And I was able to align myself with the South River, some of the anglers there. And oh my goodness, we just had the best day ever. I was able to hire a guide from the local fly shop in downtown Waynesboro, and my kids saw the joy for the first time ever in in their ability to catch so many fish in one setting in one day. That kind of lit a fire under them, and to see the joy that I've had in fishing most of the time that I've been on the water in their eyes for the first time. It just brings, like, even telling you the story right now, I can see in their eyes the happiness and the joy and all of their, I guess, anxiety, because sometimes they do have anxiety, both of my children, and some of their, the hard work that they do at school, like, all of that was just kind of melting away, and they were able to be very present and on the water and just felt one with the fish. And we go to Waynesboro. It's just one of my favorite regions to fish in all the world that I've been in, because I just, they feel really safe with the water. It's not so overwhelming. The amount of species that they can catch in the one river is just paramount. And for me as a mom, I get to kind of sit back. I can fish myself, but to be able to see the joy in my kids' faces is just uncomparable.
South River is really an enchanting place. And did you know, Angelica, it was actually the first urban trout waters in Virginia designated?
No.
I learned that when I went there with a couple of my friends, and I went during the summertime, so our catching lot was a little less impressive, but it's still a beautiful place. I have to go there at the appropriate time of year. We went in June or July, and it was just way too hot, way too
Oh,
humid.
yes.
And I caught, I think, a panfish on the fly, so I at least caught something. And we did see a couple little, like, smaller trout, I do recall. But I did love going to the fly shop. I picked up a few bass poppers there, and I still have to
Yes.
use them, even being in possession of them for a few years. I'm too afraid to lose them because I have a tendency, I guess, like any fly angler, I have a tendency to lose flies that I don't want to lose. And I'm trying to be like self conscious about not losing them. But I'm like holding those bass ones to me really closely to the heart because those were, pricey and they're a work of art. You don't want to lose them. So I'm like, I don't know if I should use them yet. Should I? Should I use them? I will eventually. But that stretch of river and Waynesboro is such a cute little town, and there's so many great little eateries. And you're right, like you could do so many things in these little areas. And I'm biased. I love fishing, especially fly fishing in Virginia. We have so many great offerings, thousands of rivers that you can choose from. But we have great urban trout water. Sometimes they can be overpressured. That happens. But no, the South River to me, because if you're coming from Northern Virginia or from another kind of faraway point to go there, I don't see it as pressured as like some of the lakes or ponds I've been to here, which are far more pressured because people know about the stocking schedule. This is more kind of like naturalistic fishing where you do have to work to get something. It's not just handed to you, or you're going to see a boil, or you're going to see, so many fish, congregated in one little area. It actually does offer, even as an urban trout spot, some competition and some challenges to you, which I love about it. So I still need to go there more wholeheartedly and try at a better time of year and do it because the trout offerings are fantastic. You're absolutely correct.
Yes, absolutely. My second favorite, I went on a media trip with Take Me Fishing in Montana last year, and I don't know the type of magic it was on the Gallatin River and the Madison River. but it just felt like, I don't know, it just invigorated my passion in fly fishing in general. And so I can't explain it to you, Gabriella, but fishing Montana is unlike fishing any other state in America to me. And I understand why people get this idea of Brad Pitt on the water and a river runs through it. And that's kind of their go to, because when I was out in Montana, I literally got into the Brad Pitt character in my own mind and was out there fishing, and I caught like several species in a matter of minutes, like as soon as I hit the water. And it just felt like I put on a superwoman cape and was out there living my best life. So that's my second favorite trip. And I was surrounded by women in an organization that I am still very much involved with, and that I just love their mission and what they're trying to accomplish and what they are accomplishing, or we are accomplishing, I should say, in the fishing world.
A River Runs Through It is a great movie. Brad Pitt was at his prime, and he's still in his prime, but so handsome in that movie, and it's just so tragic. I won't give away for anyone who hasn't watched it. It's kind of a sad movie, but beautiful because it showcases, like you said, the Gallatin River and all these other beautiful fisheries, and spots to go fishing rather. And I've had some interesting. I wouldn't say I've had good luck in Montana. I've had like hard fishing, but valuable fishing that's taught me to really be patient in fly fishing and not
Sure.
like to get deterred, because like you'll have different situations thrown at you. So I've done in Montana, I did a pond just on the outskirts of Kalispell, Montana. Beautiful place. I saw like ospreys, eagles, and even with like, it being a pond setting, it was so scenic. You had enough spacing to try to catch fish. I tried to tease the trout with different little fly offerings. None of them took the bait because it's a very pressured area. And then I've also fished the Kootenai River, which
Ooh.
is closer to kind of Canada. And I did it for a film trip, and I hooked into a few trouts, but they spit it out because they're smart. The Montana trout are smart. So
Oh, they are. Yes. And I think that's what made it more magical, because I had heard that if you can fish Montana, you can pretty much fish anywhere else in the United States. And I thought, oh, this wasn't as hard. I had to manage my expectations, but I put a lot of pressure on myself, because I said if you don't do it, then, maybe you're not that great. And then someone said, no, you've got to shift your mindset. Just say, like, we're out here to fish. We're not out here to necessarily catch. You're fishing, not catching is okay. And within 10 minutes, I think I caught like three or four species and was like, wait, what's going on? Is it like the timing? Is it the fly? And it's a combination of your skill, and if the fish are there. And to your point, if they want to take your fly, and somehow with maybe the hook set that you're able to go ahead and catch them. And it was just one of the most magical memories I think I will ever have for the rest of my life.
and you have to do a lot of sight fishing because those type of river conditions demand that you do sight fishing. And even sometimes when I wear contacts and they give me optimal vision, even with the polarized sunglasses, I still sometimes can't see the fish, or I'm not putting the fly in the right area. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm still trying to develop my reflexes with sight fishing, but it is a challenge. Even if you think you see them, you may never
Yes.
know because they're very clever. But as we said, Montana trout are the most clever, I think, of fish we've encountered. But Angelica, you have not lived until you fished Alaska.
Oh,
I
I'm
want to
going
tell you
to
that. You saw me
Alaska
do
in
that.
July.
Yes,
Yes, and
and you're
I
going to be
can't
doing that.
wait.
You're going to be doing that. And I will tell you, it's very similar to Montana. But I think if
Uh-huh.
you go, I think at the time you're going in July, it shouldn't be at the tail end of salmon season or trout season. Because when I went in August, it was towards the end, and it was very slow and very challenging. I mean, I got a good workout, trying to stay active and trying to be alert. But they will similarly, like Montana trout. I would say the fish in Alaska similarly give you like the ride of a lifetime, and it's the glacial waters. Oh, I think they
Oh,
give Montana's a run for the money. So you will be so enchanted. I can't wait for you and to see what
I
you do there.
I can't wait. Oh, this is so exciting. And I've seen your journey when you went out to Alaska last time, and I'm so excited. And thank you for giving me that tip ahead of time, because I've been practicing my casting and I've been doing the research to see like what's going to stick out there. So we'll see.
Are you going with a guide? What particular river?
I don't. It starts with a K, and I
The
can't
Kenai?
remember. Yes,
Oh,
yes, and
Kenai
I
is
am
great.
going.
I went there.
Yes. Oh,
You will
I
love the
can't
Kenai.
wait. Yeah, and
Oh,
we're going out with a guide.
oh, Fantastic. Yeah, oh no, you'll be in good hands. They know what they're doing up there. They're gonna take you on an adventure you will never forget. And that drive down from Anchorage, gorgeous. You may see some moose. You
Oh,
could see some bighorn sheep on the cliffs as you go down that scenic byway, and so many glaciers. Like it's just you'll want to stop. Like that's how beautiful it is, and so many trees and kind of you feel like you're in the ocean, but it's not really the ocean at the same time. But it's so much water you're surrounded by, and that journey, that 2 hour give or take journey to the Kenai Peninsula is just so beautiful. So you're gonna have a blast.
thank you. I can't wait.
Angelica, you were alluding to the groups you're involved in because I think it's extremely important for those who are interested in fly fishing. You don't have to become like a, crazy involved advocate. But I think even just being involved somewhat, in conservation and doing outreach efforts, I think that can help enhance your fishing experience. And that's what I've tried to do whenever I'm not working or whenever I'm not traveling. I like to give back and I like to be involved with some groups, or at least do some socializing through kind of a network setting, whether it's, with women or not with women, but I like to fish with both guys and girls. And it's a lot of fun to do this type of stuff. But there are several groups that really get you excited about conservation. Could you share what groups those are and why you like being involved in them?
Well, I really think that women can get involved in fishing when they connect with groups like United Women on the Fly. United Women on the Fly is a community that was begun by Heather Hodson, who's a good friend of mine. And she provides classes, she provides social activities where women in particular can feel confident and I want to use the word safe amongst other women because oftentimes if you haven't gone fly fishing in particular, it can be intimidating. And a lot of times you just want to be with people that feel kind of connected to you in a way that's like a sisterhood. And so I found United Women on the Fly within the first 3 months that I was starting to learn how to fly fish. And I was able to connect with other women that made me feel a little bit more confident in learning how to cast, learning how to conserve, because I didn't even know what conservation was until I started connecting with United Women on the Fly. And I think effective outreach can promote the sustainable fishing habits and reduce overfishing to a point that you mentioned earlier. They can protect the marine ecosystems, and for me, I think connecting with United Women on the Fly in particular helped me to kind of think about the future generations that are to come, especially with my children, and keeping fly fishing in particular a sport that's going to continue for generations to come because some of the people and I say the traditional fly anglers, they don't when you think of a traditional fly angler, you might not think of a young little girl. And I think seeing women like United Women on the Fly really was like, yeah, like we want to keep this going for the next 100 years. The next organization I'm involved with is Take Me Fishing, and that's how
We love Take Me
um,
Fishing. They're
yes,
great.
and I know you love them as well, and they have really made it easier for you to get your fly fishing license, education, all in one stop, like like a one what does it say, one stop shop online, and they've got some outreach that helps with how do I say this, like they talk about fisheries and kind of help you with fishing practices and conservation efforts, and they teach you about the regulations at different fisheries. And so with them I've learned so much that I'm just glad to be part of something like Take Me Fishing, where they're truly trying to keep the sport alive in a very responsible way. And those are the two biggest organizations that I'm currently attached to.
I would love to speak to your colleagues at United Women on the Fly down the road because I have seen their efforts and very interesting stuff that they're putting out there in clinics and events. And definitely let's be connected to them after we finish our recording, of course. And
Absolutely.
I've been fishing since I was 8, and more seriously, by the time I was 12, I'm now in my early to mid 30s. And I will tell you of any place, no experience is perfect, of course. And I know some people have had more obstacles coming into fishing, women in particular. But I would say naturally speaking, of anything I've been involved in, I have found fishing, especially, to be one of the most inclusive industries and activities there are. And anyone who is being a negative Nancy is usually chided against. Like, my dad was a big protector and defender of women in fishing ever since I was little. And he was like, I'm not going to let anyone make you cry or get upset to tell you that you can't go fishing. And so it really takes strong, good fathers, spouses, brothers, cousins, friends, what have you, to make, I would say, if you were introduced through the vehicle of, it being a largely male dominated activity. But I would say most of the men are very welcoming. They're not going to irritate and like begrudge you for wanting to fish. Compared to other things I've seen or been involved in, I would say they're not as welcoming of women. But fishing, it's naturally inclusive. You have to be, because it's an activity that has to be sustained not just by one particular group of people. You need to have so many people, and so many people would benefit. You were talking about, reducing anxiety for your children, with how hyper connected we are to social media, digital, just so many pressures out there, so many things that want to divide us, different factors at play. DC is a very interesting town and a very stressful town. And if you're not unwinding through activities like fishing, I don't know, how do you stay sane? So I think like fishing just naturally has to be inclusive of all people, welcoming of all people. And it tells individuals, especially women, that you can do this. You can be your best. You can be feminine. You can land that fish and be proud. You can land a small fish and still be proud of it and consider it your trophy. And so for me, I don't know if you feel the same way, Angelica, but even with a little bit of hurdles some people may encounter, I still feel like the industry has moved, I think, even more expeditiously, or more, I would say, naturally, into a direction where you can't be exclusive. You have to be welcoming and inviting, because the conservation dollars necessitate it. The economic underpinning of it needs to be sustained by more and more purchasers. You need more women, you need more young people, you need more urbanites, who can sustain it economically and conservation wise. So we can't have this issue of excluding people. I think it's just, we want more people, we want more customers, we want more conservationists, and that's how you have to have as a mindset. What you have to have as a mindset.
Yes, I totally agree, and especially as a mom, there was I believe, a statistic by Recreational Boating and Fishing Foundation (RBFF) that found it. Women are the gateway, I guess, the gate people in their families introducing the sports to the children. It's not so much the fathers anymore. It's the moms wanting to give their children an activity to kind of help melt away stress or anxiety from, school or what have you. And it's also a fun social activity for their kids. So I find myself with other moms talking about, let's get the kids out there and let's go fishing. Oftentimes I'm the one that's taking the kids and the moms are like, hanging back and saying like, do you mind taking little, Ava or, little Caleb? And I'm like, oh yeah, they can come with us. And it's only happened a couple of times, but I do believe that the image is changing because it is a very diverse sport. And I think that looking at it in a non-diverse way is very old-fashioned. There's people of all ages out there. There's people of all socioeconomic classes out there. And there's people who are interested in both fly fishing and gear fishing, or they don't even know that the other one's available to them and they're willing to try. So in my lifetime now, coming from the age of where I was when I began fishing in the state of Ohio when I was a young kid, to now being a mom and fishing all over the United States, I see so much diversity and it's making me so happy for future generations to come.
A young woman might be listening to the podcast, Angelica, and saying, I love what Angelica is doing. I want to get my start in fishing. I want to do content creation. I want to work with different groups. What would you recommend to that young woman listening in terms of how she can chart her own fishing course in the fishing industry, on the media side, content creation side, or even on the advocacy side?
Oh, wow. Oh, this is so exciting. Well, get out there and just start fishing. And then if you have a friend or a parent that you want to take some photos, or for me, I set up my own tripod half the time and just record so I can like look at my casting and try to improve myself. Just get started. Just start fishing. Also, try to align yourself with other communities. I think that United Women on the Fly is a great social community to reach out to. Go to the Take Me Fishing website and really connect with, let's say, I love Orvis. That's a big box retailer in the area, but they have stores all over the country, and reach out and see where you might be able to connect with some of the groups that can help you learn how to cast, connect with them on fly tying, and also look online because you may have a smaller group on some of the social media accounts that can help you get your start. And you can always reach out to me. My email is angelicainthecity@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to share any and all of my experiences with you.
And you're a fantastic follow on social media. You got to plug in where everyone can follow you on Instagram, Facebook, and the like. I think you're on a
Oh,
couple other platforms.
yeah. You can follow me at Angelica Talan on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook.
Excellent. And like you, Angelica, I was so sad when they closed the Orvis Arlington shop earlier this year. And it
Devastated.
was so
Yes.
quickly. It was like, I thought there was going to be a month where you can go and like get things. But no, they even closed it sooner. And that was so heartbreaking for Art and all the staffers and everyone. And I think most of them moved to Tyson's, but that's a hike for us. Tyson's is not skip and walk in the park. It's a bit of a hike to get to.
I
So
agree, and shout out to Art. He's also been very, influential to me in my fly fishing journey. He comes from Ohio, that's where I was born and raised, and he's been able to give me tips. There's another gentleman named Mike, wanna give both of the guys at Orvis Arlington a shout out, and to your point, people think that Tyson's Corner is so close to where we live in Arlington, and it is not. It is a little bit of a trek, and I have not been out there. And I thank you so much because you were the person that put it on your social media that they were closing. And had
uh,
it not been for you, I wouldn't have known. And I would have gone for my spring flies and just been crushed. But I was able to get in and get a little bit of the sale before they closed their doors.
we don't need another bank over there. There's so many banks in Arlington. I was like,
That's what I have
leave the
heard.
fishing shop for us. We want this here.
Yes, but a shout out to District Angler also in Arlington
A good
because
shop too, yes.
it's a great shop, and they are so full of knowledge that you will leave feeling so empowered for your next trip.
Angelica, you have just given me so much excitement, and just hearing you speak about how enthusiastic about you are about fly fishing, I think it's just going to motivate more people. And you just have such a positive energy, and you're just one of the nicest people. Like, we've met a few times, and we're going to hopefully plan to do some fishing as well. And I really want to encourage you to continue to do the great work you do. You're so positive. You bring in so many different types of people into fishing, and we need that. And we need ladies like you to really expand the tent and then bring more people into the fold, because we benefit when we have more people on the water. It's never too crowded on the river, on the ocean, on brackish waters for anyone. There's plenty of opportunities, and it's good for conservation. And I wish you continued success, and I can't wait till whenever we get to fish on the water together.
Thank you so much, Gabriella. It's been a pleasure to connect with you. I am so excited for the future, and I have some ideas for us to go fishing very soon.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of The Sportswoman Show. Your support is so crucial. Take a moment right now if you can and help us out by hitting the subscribe button on your podcatcher of choice, leaving a review, sharing with your friends, and engaging with us on social media. We also need guest ideas. If you have a suggestion on a strong outdoor woman we need to talk to, shoot our producer an email at cody@troutstreamstudios.com.